Welcome to Keyframers, the animated collaborative coding live stream where we bring imaginative user interfaces to life. I'm your host, Stephen Shaw, but you may know me as @Shashaw.
And I'm your host, David Khorshid, also known as @DavidKPiano, and today is not Thursday.
It is not. What is today, David?
Today is Monday.
What are we doing then?
Okay, so this is actually a pretty interesting episode because we have had a challenge on Twitter.
Yes.
Yes.
Who has challenged us?
I don't remember. I don't have Twitter up right now. Why? Because I have like 50 tabs open.
Yes.
I'm sure it's in one of those tabs, but basically, my friend, someone that I met over at React Finland, his name is Yanni Evkalio or something like that. He actually posted like this animation that he found on Dribbble, just demonstrating the big gulf, the difference between how designers create prototypes, especially with all these cool interactive animations and micro interactions, and how different that is than, you know, what us developers consider to be just normal programming, where they would come up with these really fancy animations, and for some reason they're just concepts. They're not real. But of course, as you know, and as you've been watching our stream, and if you haven't watched our stream, I guess you'll learn today, our goal is to take these imaginative concepts and bring them to life. And so that's what we're going to try to do today.
That's right. Yeah, I've got the tweet pulled up here.
Cool.
Yeah, we're showing Yanni's tweets from uimovement.com. Where we've got, you know, a nice little wine UI that seems like something flipping can handle. And then the topic of today, this beautiful little calendar interaction where you tap, pick a date, and this grid icon kind of spreads out and becomes, this full calendar grid.
Mm-hmm.
And that seems pretty sweet. Let's see. So Sean actually sent this over to us, tagging us in a thread from Natalie and Mark on Twitter there. And share that link as well. And so they just kind of brought this to our attention, and we decided to take it on. And we tracked down the original Dribbble here by Charles Bennett, something like that, entitled Calendar Motion. And so, not to make it easy on ourselves, we decided to do it with CSS-only. Is that right?
Yep, that's correct.
Oh, David.
So I just decided, you know what? Let's throw in another challenge. But there's another reason that I wanted to do it CSS only. And this seems a little contradictory, but it's because this tweet was brought up in the context of doing it within frameworks. In this case, React. Well, at least I know, like, Yanni, he's big on React. Of course, I met him at React Finland. And I'll be honest, React does not make it easy to do animations like this, because the whole conceptual model of React sort of pigeonholes you into this way of thinking that doesn't make it really amicable to doing animations like this. So to remedy that, I thought, what if we just stick to the basics, do it in like the lowest common denominator, which is just plain CSS. And then once we do that, then you could apply those principles to Angular, Vue, React. It doesn't matter what you're using. And so that's our goal today.
That's right.
And that's why I posed that challenge.
I've added another challenge to this as well. I have a cat in the room that is watching my every move, just waiting. We're gonna
animate the cat. Is the cat gonna be animated?
It is very animated right now.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, let's take a closer look at this and break it down a little bit. What we're looking at. I've got it imported into GIF Scrubber here, so we can take it at half speed and watch what's happening here. No, cat, you can't sit on the keyboard. You. So you've got click, pick a date with the typical material design expansion. Maybe we can touch on that briefly.
Yeah.
And then what appears to be just a simple grid then kind of separates into a much larger grid with some staggering. And then we have the calendar dates filling in with a nice kind of scale effect to fill out the grid with some staggering as well.
Yeah. So I did a little bit of setup, just a little bit. I put the HTML and I got just one animation in, just a sort of proof of concept. And that's the, if you click the calendar, it expands. And so I got that so far just as a starting point. Trust me, we are barely cracking the surface here.
That's right.
You know, we're at the very tip of the iceberg. We are an ice cube on top of the iceberg right now. So just because there's so many micro interactions in this.
Yes.
But I did this to highlight the techniques we're going to use, which is basically we're going to be using CSS-only, of course, and we're going to be using transition.
JavaScript tag here.
Yeah, we're going to be using transition. And the reason I like using transition is because transition is a very loose way of animating in CSS where it doesn't matter what state that your element's in. If you put it in a new state, like a new transform position, it's going to animate smoothly to that. And that's exactly the behavior that we want in this case.
Yep. Yeah. So refresh me on what this is in Sass with the % here.
Oh, okay.
That's just a mix-in, basically?
Yeah, not a mix-in. It's called a placeholder. So you could think of it like a class, but the class that doesn't get rendered. Another way to think about it is well, yeah, a mix-in. I could have used a mix-in, but basically with this one, whatever extends transition. Actually, all right, I'm going to make this simpler. I don't even know why I did that. Well, actually, I do know why. I'm going to go down here to where I'm extending transition, and I'm just going to copy paste it there. So basically, I'm transitioning every single property. Or sorry, every single
element. Yeah, with transform and opacity, and that should be all we need today.
Yeah. That's the goal.
I'm on board for that. All right.
Yeah, so one note here. In some of our previous episodes, you see the background animation. So that's a completely separate element. What I have is two variables that are keeping track of, or they're not keeping track of anything. They're just saying what's the height when it's collapsed and what's the height when it's expanded. And so I'm switching between those by using scale Y. And that's going to give us a smooth transform. So the height when it's collapsed is 9 vmin, and the height when it's expanded is 50 vmin. And so to shrink it down, I just do 9 over 50, and I get some crazy number. 0.18, not that crazy. But that's what it shrinks down to. Bish?
I think I follow you.
All right, cool.
Sorry, I'm doing a little stream setup as we stream, so just ignore me. So explain your checkboxes a little bit. Oh no.
Okay, so we've actually used this technique. We've used all these techniques in previous episodes, which this is what makes it so fun. We have all these checkboxes on the outside because we have labels on the inside, and those labels are for those checkboxes. So when we click one of the labels, one of the outside checkboxes is going to be checked. It's like communicating with aliens or something. It's just like this magical way where some inner elements can communicate with the outer elements. And that's the sort of magic we want here today.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, and so the plan is when one of these checkboxes is checked, we're going to use adjacent sibling selectors and descendant select. But basically, we're going to be targeting those specific days, and we're going to be animating those days to the correct position so that it's like the selected day. Now, of course, you could use JavaScript. It makes it a little bit easier. I figured we'd show it this way first so that you could do whatever you want in JavaScript in order to accomplish this.
Yeah, I think this should be pretty straightforward. We'll see as we get into it. Famous last words. Okay.
We'll see. We'll see. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll be using a little bit of fixed units for some things, just for sake of time, to try and make this all go relatively quickly. But
right,
we'll do what we can to make it, responsive and scalable and all that. All right, let's see. I'm gonna do a little grid here. And
nested calcs are a thing, right?
Yes. Yep. They totally
okay,
work.
Cool. Because
they totally work in some browsers, I think.
Okay, well, some browsers is all we need. Hey, if this somehow works in just Chrome, whatever. I'm happy.
It's a proof of concept. Some commenters have dogged on our browser support before, but the focus here is not making something that's going to work perfectly in every situation. Part of our focus is actually pushing things to their limits a little bit so that we can show you what is possible, and then through the magic of progressive enhancement and other techniques, you can serve maybe a more straightforward experience to less capable browsers, we'll say.
Right.
Let's see.
Actually, I'm going to simplify the calcs.
Going to be bouncing back and forth between the animation here. We've got.
Yeah. So right now we have 30 labels for the days. We're going to keep it simple. I'm not going to do the previous month, later month thing. Otherwise, it would take us twice as long to get that logic in. So we're just going to do like 1 through 30, just like a real simple, because I just want to highlight the smooth transitions, those animations. Okay.
That sounds good.
Will you forgive me?
I forgive you.
All right, perfect.
If you don't forgive David, pipe up in the chat and let us know what you think.
Yeah. Just decide if you want to fire me or not.
Let's see.
All right, this is going to be a lot of HTML and a lot of rendered CSS, which is fine because, if you're watching, you're smart, you know how to convert this to JavaScript. We're just doing it in CSS just for is that going to work? The style?
It should. I forget the shortcut in Emmet for that. Yeah,
I think it's just dollars. Hopefully that works.
$sign.
Did that work?
Yep, check that out.
Oh my god, that's
however,
beautiful.
My math is a little off here. it doesn't like nested math. So let's see. 8 times 6, if you know math. 9. Okay, let's see. All right. So yeah, David's mainly going to be focused on the days here. I'll mainly be focused on the grid animation, and be working a lot of CSS vars here for the most part.
Yeah, lots of little things going on. If you want to know like how we're structuring things, then please feel free to uh, chat with us. We are friendly people.
Yeah, if you're not sure about anything that's happening, let me know, because I try to keep most of the action visible in the code editor, but when I'm trying to code myself, it's can be a little tough to keep track of what David's doing.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's cool. Right, let me see. I'm gonna add dividers here. For the last episode, my wife said we had too much dead space, so feel free to, you know, hum or, you know, quote some Blink 182 lyrics, or, you know, something the kids like.
Yeah,
You know.
what's your age again?
Well, we won't talk about that. Hello, hello, Football Maniac. Glad you could join us. Now, if you are a maniac about non-American football, you should definitely check out our last episode, where we create some soccer pattern animations.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
I think you'll appreciate that one.
All right, I'll check it out.
Not you.
Not me.
Well, you
Okay.
should, but you know, other people can check it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
that one was a lot of fun. There were a lot of fun little details in that one, and we got more into the advanced topic of reactive animations, which that was definitely fun. Everything's fun.
Indeed it was. Line here.
Okay, getting the width all set up. There's going to be a lot of math going on here, but the beauty about this is that it's a calendar. There's always going to be 7 days in a week, and there's always going to be like at least 4 weeks. Like we could predict where each day is going to fall, and so we don't even need. Well, honestly, if you were doing this in real life, I would recommend using CSS Grid or Table if you're feeling nostalgic. But in this case, we're going to be positioning everything absolutely all the days, and we're going to be transforming them to their correct positions.
That's right.
For each day.
Hey, Nate. Thanks for following. Glad to have you.
Hey, thank you, Nate.
Let's see.
And so, yeah, so the plan is we are going to be transforming them using transition. This does produce a bit of CSS, but again, it's not too hard to do this dynamically. So quit your whining. Okay, now to do some nth child type stuff. Oh, this is gonna be fun.
Give yourself some CSS vars, man.
I know, I totally will. From 1 through 5, because we're gonna have, I guess, 5 weeks. Why can't months have 28 days? You know, make it nice and even and simple. Who came up with 7 days anyway?
I don't know.
It makes no sense.
Let's see.
I mean, at least we were smart enough to come up with units of 10 because we have 10 fingers and 10 toes and everything like that. But calendars are weird, man.
They sure can be. Let's see.
All right, so trivia time.
Woo!
How would I select, and put this in the chat because I actually don't know this one, or I have to look it up. How would you put, or how would you select the first 7 elements?
Wouldn't that be just nth child Seven in plus 7? Is that right?
I don't think so. I think you have to subtract, right? Here, let's find out. And
something like that.
Child 7n.
Now there's a few neat tools that I've seen that help with the nth child selectors. Let me pull it up.
Yeah, answer in the chat if you know, because obviously none of us know the answer. These are things that are easily forgotten.
Yes.
And so I definitely need help with that, please.
Yes. Let me see. Quantity queries. That's kind of what we want.
That sounds crazy, but you know what? Let's go for it.
At least 7. Create query.
Anyone know the answer before Shaw figures it out? Don't let him win. You don't want him to win.
Let's see.
Okay, you're all just gonna let him win. That's fine. That's
Yeah,
fine.
You know.
Yeah. All right. You know what? I'm gonna go to one of my old code pens because I have done 1 or 2 calendar animations, and I believe that I used a similar technique where I was positioning them absolutely, and I was doing that for some specific reason. But yeah, let's figure it out, unless someone can tell me. No?
Select
Nobody?
all but the first. Let me see.
All right, well, next time you should all do your homework. We should offer prizes or something.
-7. Nope. +7. Okay, Nate in the chat says nth child -n -7. Or -n +7. Yep.
-n +7. That would make sense.
Yeah.
That would make sense. Oh my God.
Props to
Perfect.
you, Nate. Great job.
All right, you're wrong. -n +7. Thanks, Nate.
That seems to be working how we want. Let's see.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's going to be a lot of. Oh yeah, I'm looking at my old CSS for this, and like, I have a mix-in like for a range, and oh wow. All right, the nth child stuff is going to get a bit crazy, but all right. So -n +7. Okay, yeah, I need to do a range. So I'm going to copy paste a mix-in that I have here, and I'll explain it. Let's see, where could I put that? I'm going to put it here. I mean, hopefully this works. So I have a range mix-in, which takes a minimum value and a maximum value. And so it's nth child n plus the min value, nth child -n plus the max value. Okay, I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. Okay.
Figuring it out on the fly.
Yep. So include range. This is I. So the range is I -1 times 7. Or sorry, no, it would be I -1 times 7 plus 1, I guess. Wow, math is crazy. Have you ever thought about math? It's just crazy.
I am not a fan, personally.
Not a fan of math.
Nope. Does not bode well for me. Hey, I think we have Sean in the chat with us from Twitter.
Oh, hey. How's it going?
Thanks for sending this our way. Definitely interested in trying this out. Calc var call times.
Let's see. I think this is going to take me the longest time, like figuring out these nth child shenanigans. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Transform, translate live. Yeah. Oh,
yes. Yeah, I was looking at that tester tool, Nate. That's actually what I confirmed that your code worked in. There's a CSS Tricks nth child tester. That's quite solid.
wow, that worked. That's one of those things that like you don't know why it works, but it works.
We won't worry about why it works.
Yeah. Forget about the why.
We'll save
No,
that.
I'll
save
definitely
that for an in-depth tutorial.
Right. Yeah, I'll definitely try to explain it the best I can once we get this done, if we get it done, which I have some confidence. I mean, I hope so. We did do the whole challenge accepted, so now we have to pretty much keep our word. But yeah.
So I'm remembering that that CSS Calc does not have a modulus style operator. Speaking of math. So
well, what are you trying to do exactly?
How I would normally do it is, so if I've got the cell index, I'd do the cell modulus 8, or the number of columns there to just keep the number looping from 1 to 8, rather than expanding out of 8. That makes sense.
Nope. I believe in you though.
Well. I think I can get it going here.
Okay. All right, so I'm using CSS variables to position the X and Y values of each day. And believe it or not, you could do CSS variables in Sass, and I believe you as well. Not pre-Ax because they haven't merged in my PR yet, for whatever damn reason. That's okay. Not mad. You're mad. I'm not mad. Okay, come on, work. Or maybe someone has a CSS error. I blame Shaw.
Hey, blame me. Let's see.
Are you nth childing?
No. I'm thinking about it. I need to adjust my approach, I think. So I don't have the math off the top of my head. Are you breaking the CSS, or is that me?
Might be you. I can't even click the exclamation mark where it says.
Right. Sometimes it does not like that.
Well, all right. We have. There we go.
What is? Oh, I guess because I didn't have anything in the nth child, but that's silly. Hey, you got a nice periodic table thing.
Oh gosh. Okay, so I think I know what I have to do nth of type, not nth child, because right now the days are on the same level as everything else, and I guess they don't have to be, but I sort of want them to be, just because it makes it easier to understand the animations, like when they finally do animate. So I'm going to just do nth of type. Type. Okay, well that did not work. Okay.
That's something.
That's something.
Mm-hmm.
All right, things are moving somewhere.
Getting kind of in place there.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Okay, things are going into places where they should be going.
Animation here.
Okay. I have a bunch of numbers missing, like not going to the right place. Oh, wait a minute. Now they just magically wait. No. Now they're gone.
I'm breaking things.
Cool. What are you doing?
Don't worry about it.
Oh man, it's like I see it slowly going to the desired position and then not.
Well, so I'm adding a div, so maybe
What, to my days? You don't need to.
I'm adding a div and then closing it out, but perhaps when it's still open, there's something in your code.
Oh wow, that looks right. Yeah.
Right. So look on line 53 in the HTML. I just have an open div that's not
Right.
yeah, so something with your nth child, it perhaps
Well, I'm not using Untitled
oh, you're
anymore.
using nth of type.
Nth of type, yeah.
So
And so nth of type, the difference between that and nth child, just for those who don't know, is oh wait a minute, and I was mixing nth of type and nth child. Okay, now things are closer. Oh, I don't even know why it's doing that.
yeah.
That's so funny. There's certain yeah, certain days that are just not behaving. And I don't know why.
Who knows?
Let's see, from 1 through 5, range, blah, blah, blah. All right, that's correct. Yeah. So let's get rid of this real quick. Okay, next.
Sean is asking if this is a
Okay.
CSS bug. It's more than likely
no,
a David bug.
It's a David bug. Yep. Very special class of bugs. All right, nth of type. Okay. We'll inspect that later. I just want to play around with what we have right now. So I have a feeling this actually needs to be wider. And so I'm going to make it wider. Right, because right now, each of the days are 9 vmin, and so the total width is going to be that day width times 7 plus 2 more day widths. So day width times 2 plus day width times 7, and there we go. And that's going to give us the width we want. So it's not going to be, well, actually, it's going to be pretty close to the dimensions. Right, so height expanded, we're going to do day width times, yeah, because if you look closely at this, it's all very squarey. So let's see. Day width times 1, 2, 3, or day heights times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll say 7. Day width times 7. And because we're doing math, things are going to work out. I don't know.
In theory.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Come on. Oh. Height should be height expanded. Okay, that's what we want. My days are still screwed up.
Hey,
but
thanks for subscribing, Sean. Ooh, yeah, using that Twitch Prime subscription.
Awesome. I should do that.
You really should,
okay.
David. I expected more support from you, but...
I know. Man, I really want to get to the fun stuff, and the fun stuff is when we click one of these, just making it so that it animates to the correct position. So that's going to be the real fun part. Oh, I see some action happening with the lines. That's pretty cool.
That's right. Trying to get things going.
Nice.
Yes, Sean. Not only do you have a nice little crown in front of your name, you also get access to use the keyframer face emoji, and you are also supporting us whenever you subscribe with Twitch Prime. That helps us out, keeps us going, and it's no cost to you. So that's pretty rad.
Yeah. We do this for free or your donations or whatever. It's just something that we're passionate about, but we love doing it, and we love spreading the knowledge because we've realized that there's not really a comprehensive source of doing non-trivial CSS animations, because that's something that always tends to trip people up, where CSS animations are very much the core fundamentals of how to animate things on the web. And as Shaw and I have demonstrated, like for many years in our CodePens, you could actually get pretty complex animations with CSS alone or with just a light touch of JavaScript. And these are really important skills, especially if you're developing apps which have a high level of interactivity and you want it to feel dynamic and lively and responsive to your user. And that's what we try to do, is teach you all of that stuff.
That's right. Okay, don't mind me.
I'm minding you.
For some reason my UI column is not doing anything.
Well, you should fix it.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Okay, well, time to do, I'm gonna just go ahead and do the checkboxing. We'll figure out the day position later. I don't know why there are random days that are not doing what I want them to do, but just looking at those nth of type things is hurting my brain right now. So I'm sure I'll figure it out, but right now it's close enough, right?
Sure.
Right now it just looks a little bit funny, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Well, I from 1 through 30. Now, Shaw loves less, but I love Sass for its native for loops and each loops and while loops and all that fun stuff, which you sort of have to jump through hoops in order to do that in less.
Well, yeah, because you're meant to do less of them.
Well, in this case, less is more, and the more being more work.
That's true. Yes.
Yes. So inputs ID. I could just do ID. Let's see, day. Sorry if I'm breaking the CSS.
You are, but that's all right.
Actually, I got a plan. If I comment out what I'm doing, and then once I'm done with that line, uncomment it out, then it'll work just fine, and you'll stop yelling at me after the episodes and beating me with a wooden rod.
Hey,
that's what happens,
I'm gentle.
people.
It's so you remember, David.
Well, yeah, I learned my lesson. All right, so thinking out loud, what I want to do, when a checkbox is checked, like for the specific day, like let's say it's day 9 or something, that's going to check that hidden input. And actually, I'm going to show real quick all of these inputs that we have here, just so that you sort of see the magic behind the scenes. But we have a whole bunch of checkboxes.
Ah.
Yeah, you see? You could see them all.
That's
and so
few.
Those, yeah, they're going to be magically checked. Actually, wait, why did I do checkboxes? I'm an idiot. Radio buttons. That's what we want. You know, because
yes.
you could sort of only pick one. So yeah, when, oh man, I have to do the same name for them. Oh wow, HTML. Yeah, learn your basics, people. I obviously don't know mine. But yeah, so each of these labels, they are they have a for attribute for each of these radio buttons. So if you click around on the days, you'll see them being clicked. And yeah, we're just going to target when one of those is checked. Just do a little selector magic and select the correct day. And we're going to be using a Sass loop to do that. So yeah. All right, so when the radio button is checked, the UI calendar, and then we're targeting the UI day with that that's for that day. For equals AI. And so let's just give this a background of blue. Okay, cool. So Shaw, real quick, if you click around the days, you're going to see that each of them are highlighted blue, right?
Yep.
Cool. And so what's happening is we're not using focus or anything. We're checking those hidden radio inputs, and then we're selecting the correct one. And so we have a loop going through 30 items, and so that's how each of those are being selected. And you can see the calendar jiggle a little because I guess it's quickly being unfocused and then focused. I don't know what that's about, but whatever.
Okay. I checked. UI day 4. Now, one thing I was going to suggest for simplifying this, but you know, it's going to depend kind of on the logic here. With these inputs, they could actually be kind of grouped with the day, so that it would be, you know, the input for the day, and then the label for the day, and then you could just instead of doing a SAS loop, you could just do the adjacent.
Like right next to each other.
Right.
So the reason I didn't do that was because when we select a day, the day is not the only thing being affected by the fact that a day is selected. So unless you have a good way of, you know, just figuring that out, but because we have to shrink the entire calendar again once we have a day selected, and so that's why I have those on the outside.
Yeah. Well, if they were first in the UI calendar container, and then UIBG and UI header and all that could just be affected by a checked item, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does. Well, let's refactor later.
Sure. I'm just
yeah, that makes sense though. That makes a whole ton of sense. Let's see.
Yeah, no. Normally, Nate, we stream on Thursdays around this same time, and we're usually doing the same sort of thing. But today we just kind of got a little bit of a challenge on Twitter. Let me pull that back up here, and that brought this animation to mind.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, so apparently height 100% does not equal height 100% in
what?
This. I really am at a little bit of a loss here as to why that is the case. Let me just do that. Take off bottom. Nope. Okay, let's do height 100%.
All right, so when any one of those inputs are checked, I'm going to be moving the header to the left, yeah, so that it's right next to the number. And so the number and the header are nice and reunited. Okay, so right now you're just working on the horizontal lines, and
well, no, I'm actually trying to get the vertically facing lines in there as well. If you look at line 53-ish with me, in the
okay.
CSS.
Yeah.
So you see I've got UI column, position absolute, and then I've just got a full border on it right now so that I can actually see it. You can see these little red ones in the top left of the numbers.
Yeah.
I have height 100%, but it's not being 100%. Any idea?
So here's what, well, I mean, I don't know how to solve that unless I really think about it, but I was thinking, what if instead you had the height something like 2 pixels, and then you basically, position. Well, you're already positioning those absolutely, but so you treat those as zero border, like it's literally 2 pixels height and width 100%, or whatever the width happens to be. What do you think about
that? So I have the horizontal lines working just fine. And so what I'm planning to do there is just having them scale out from the top right corner, like the animation. And so they're full width right now. We'll scale them down based on the number of columns, and get them up there. The math works in my head. I'm trying to get these vertical lines going.
Yeah, that's the tricky part of all this, is all the math. Trying to think. Also, I'm putting this entire thing in a form just so that we can make use of resets. Because, yeah, that seems like a good thing to do.
Okay.
Did I break everything?
No. Everything's okay for me. I'm doing some CSS that may have...
Weird, because I don't see anything. It might be my fault.
Yeah, everything's showing up for me.
Okay, yeah, all right, everything's good. Don't worry, no reason to freak out.
All right, I really have no clue what's happening with that, so I'm just gonna do some sass day width times.
Okay, yeah, well, yeah, I would just do the 2 pixel height type thing, but
well, okay, so if I'm doing height 2 pixels, it's 2 pixels high. Just so we're clear, I'm trying to get like the prison bars going across, not the ladder you would climb up. And for some reason, the height on those is just not working. Even though everything... Is it just not display block? Is that what's happening? Right. Like what's your deal here?
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. Day width times 8.
Yeah. Just do what I do. Delete everything and start over. New approach.
Well, I've already done that, so
okay.
I figure I owe it
a few more times.
Sorry, I'm breaking things.
All right, gonna add a border to each of these days. Border 2 pixels solid transparent.
-1.
There's no such thing as transform property, by the way. I always get transition and transform.
Yeah, that has to be the most common mistype for myself.
Yeah.
Okay, so
yeah, because
that don't want that outline either. Do you want UI grid pointer events none? Okay. You've got your transition working nicely.
Yeah, and I mean I'll definitely explain that, but of course I need to figure out why those dates are so weird. Like why there's just a few of them that just my math is off somewhere.
Yeah.
I bet you if I like subtract like if I change one number then it's going to work somehow. Did I break something?
No, I added a comment.
It's not it.
Okay, so you're doing your nth of type.
I'm just changing numbers everywhere.
Oh, good
gravy.
See
what happens. Yeah.
So I assume what's happening is the nth of type is not quite right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, those numbers are in the wrong place. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Like the numbers on the right are correct, but the numbers on the, oh God.
Yeah, so let's see.
I'll let you take a look at that. I'm going to
Nope. 1 through 8. Okay. That's what it is. Nope. 8 and 8. Okay.
Someone wants a fun challenge after this. I would love to see someone take the CSS that we're doing and actually move it into React, or Vue, or something like that. It should be pretty straightforward. Like, we're not doing a crazy amount of nesting, but the brain teaser is going to be like translating all of these input checks and focus things into oh, well, that's close. Actually, no.
That's where you were before.
Right.
Nth of
Yeah.
type 8. Background.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure something is wrong with this loop up here, the 4i from 1 through 7.
Right.
Yeah.
See where the 8 is?
Dude, do I have to do like some n plus?
So what's happening with your for loop up here?
Oh, you know what it might be? Here. Well, let me try this. Try from 0 through 6. And then, so we're going to do
probably through 7, right?
n plus I. That's wrong.
It probably needs to be I n. Yep, let's get closer. Change that to 7.
Let's do 1 through 7.
Okay.
Okay, we're
still
closer.
We still have 8 out of order. Let me for a moment just take this range out. Whoa. And set
that's
a
fine.
y of 1.
In fact, what we could do is do 1 row at a time, or 2 rows at a time. I don't know. Make it a little bit easier. There. Okay. So now I have only two weeks going on over there. So yeah, okay. Hopefully that works.
Let's see.
Anyway, while you're doing that, I'll do something much easier, which is positioning the reset button. Opacity 0. Now, a long time ago, opacity 0 would actually make some form elements not work. Do you know if that's still true? Or am I just imagining things?
I think it depends on the browser, but that is definitely a problem.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Let's do a little classic dev tools work, you know?
Yeah, all right. So do you want me to stop typing? Because I know sometimes when I type, it's going to keep auto refreshing.
Yes.
And all of that.
Okay, so 8. 8 has 36.
Yeah, so Sean, I don't know why the 8's in that location. I think that there's something really funky with my nth type selector.
Okay, so what's the unit times 3 times I?
All right, so unit times 3, that's moving it to the left 3. That's like it's padding, so to speak.
Okay, why 3?
Because the unit is like one of those numbers. And so just think 3 of those numbers side to side. And so that's what it is. Or actually, instead of unit, let's make it easier and do day width, because that's what it is. I don't know where you are. A cool CodePen feature would be you click that line 99 or wherever it says you're on, and it just jumps you there.
Yeah, that was the original vision that I was talking with Chris about, and he's got it on the list. Right now, the way that it works with FirePad to sync up the cursors and the work you're doing together, it doesn't really have the specific line people are working on, so it's a little funky. Right now,
Gotcha.
it's just some code that I kind of patched in that's doing that to even show the rough estimate line number. Okay, yeah, I definitely like using day width in there because that's a lot more appropriate.
Yeah. All right.
So I think what the issue is, 1 through 7. Let's say 0 through 7. Nope, that doesn't do anything. And +1.
I'm trying to look at my old CodePens, but they're using floats. Yeah. I haven't used floats in years.
David.
Floats are still useful, though. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Oh, I got you wrong.
Okay, good. Yeah, I definitely have other calendar ones where I think I'm using a child. Am I using a child here? No, this one I'm using display flex.
What are you doing, David?
Okay, so I guess trivia time. Maybe you can help us out in the chat, and maybe we're just pretending not to know. Actually, we really don't know. So that's why we need your help. But if we wanted to select, for example, the first day of each week, which would be day 1, day 8, day, like 15, and so on, how would we do that?
I commented out some of the code just so we can try to isolate this a little bit, but now I'm getting an error and I'm not sure why.
All right, enter type. Let me try something. N plus. Oh, no.
Yeah. Sorry,
it has to be 7n plus I. Wait, 7n plus. Oh, hey, that works.
Yep. Hold on.
Okay.
I've got 8 focused. Let me get 8 out of there. Okay.
Okay.
So let's see. What did you change here? 7n. 7 yes. That's what it is.
That makes sense. So does the n start at 0?
Kind of.
That's so weird. Okay, that's one of the confusing things about CSS to me, is that it starts at 1 most of the time.
Well, no. If you change that to 1, it's fine.
No. I mean this nth of type, because let's say we're targeting element number 1. So that's going to be nth of type 1, which is nth of type 7 times 0 plus 1.
So right. So n is the, hey, thank you for following. N is the kind of current. I forget how exactly that math works. Let's go to the docs.
All right, to the docs.
You can continue doing things while I look
this up
and try to make sense of it.
I'm just so glad that
yes,
that actually works.
Right. I always get the n versus the number after it mixed up.
And the outlines. I'm guessing those red lines are yours, right?
Yes.
Cool.
Okay. Functional notation. A(n) plus b represents elements whose numeric position in a series of siblings matches the pattern a(n) plus b. for every positive integer or 0 value of n.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the index of the first element is 1. Okay, that doesn't really explain n. Manifold asks what doc searching app I'm using. It's an app called Dash. It's just kind of a little menu bar app for OS X. I think it's $20 or so, but it's super worth it. You can have kind of all your different docs built in there, Vue and 3 and a lot of other libraries are supported in there. And then you can just kind of type what doc set you want to search from, or you can search for all of them, and then you get that the beautiful MDN docs for a lot of them.
Really cool.
Yeah. So I want to say n represents the actual element index, like the current index of that element that you're looping through. But that for certain. Okay, and now I can take that type off.
I'm so relieved right now.
Wouldn't be the first time we've crashed and burned. I'm really mystified as to why height 100% is not working in this instance. Because
well, it's all Christmassy. Should I change it to December? Okay.
Let me see.
All right, well, my number animations are all working. The resets all working. Your lines are on their way to working. This is exciting.
Oh, it's you and your dang position relative with everything.
Get used to it.
Oh my gosh.
It's a very useful thing.
I beg to differ. Okay.
All right, so why don't you want position relative in this case?
Well, I suppose I don't actually need these containers, but it does help keep things a little cleaner, and I might need them in the future. But line 48 of the HTML, I've got a div UI rows to group all the rows together, and then a UI columns on 56 to group the columns together.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I was actually positioning everything by UI grid instead of that. So the position relative got me. Mystery solved. Hooray.
Got you good.
This is one of the wonderful things about working with others, is you get to learn how not to do things.
What? The way I do things is wonderful. Honestly, it saved me so much time, but maybe that's just me. I don't know. If you use position relative everywhere, please support me. And be like, yeah, it's a good idea.
I don't know that you're going to get much support out there, David.
I will not, but that's okay. I will keep that my little secret for how I quickly develop these CSS things. It's like my dirty secret. It's like someone using a secret ingredient in a recipe that they don't want to tell anyone what it is because they'll be disgusted, even though the food tastes so good. It's one of those things.
Okay, so right now you have the focus state, the opposite. Is that correct? Just for testing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
Okay, I'm just confirming to try and get my grid animation working.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna add a. What am I gonna add? I'm gonna add a font real quick, if that's okay with you.
Sure.
that's going to be Roboto. Use Roboto. I'm sure you have.
I am very fond of it. Domo
Yeah.
Arigato and all of that.
Yeah, so Roboto Condensed. It's a nice little font. Fonts family, Roboto. Oops, Roboto Condensed. Sans serif, just put that everywhere. Hopefully it works. It works, and it looks a lot closer to the original, right?
Yes, sure. Sorry. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's Roboto.
Yeah. Or it's close enough. I was just looking for a nice condensed font.
Yeah, it's not exactly, but I'll let it pass.
Let it slide. Yeah. YOLO. Okay, so what's next? While Shaw figures out this line goodness, which the lines I think are like one of the feature parts of this animation, just because there's, you know, like, yeah, that's one of the most unique parts of it.
Yeah.
So it'd be cool to get that working.
Well, that's the goal.
All right. All right, so I'm going to do, while you're doing that, I'm just going to add a simple stagger to each of the days, which is something very innocuous. It won't break anything, hopefully. We've totally done it before, so.
Jeez.
Yeah. And actually, I need to add some CSS variables. Let's see how I'm going to do that.
Default state. So let's see.
All right, so I added the day CSS variable to each of these days, which actually might help us cut down on all the nth child looping that we're doing, but we're not going to touch any of that right now. I'm just using that to set a delay, transition delay on these. Okay, transition delay, calc there, day times, I don't know, 10 milliseconds. Something small like that. And so each of these days are going to zoom in, like one by one from transform scale. Is it just me, or like a long time ago, my Emmet expansion for like if I typed TTX, that would go to transform translate X. But it doesn't do that anymore. Now it does something else. And I wish I had the shortcuts again.
Yeah, I have not used that.
Now I have to type everything out.
Width divided by
0. Okay. And all the days are gone. Don't worry, everything's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, I'm like, I want to say 75% there.
Awesome.
That was
whoa,
surprisingly straightforward. Nerve-wrackingly straightforward.
Yeah. Like a drag race.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Scale X.
All right. Let's see. UI day. Okay, so I want to target when it's focused. That's when I want the days to fade in. So gotta figure out when that is. Okay, where's my focus?
It's down below.
Oh,
this is,
yeah.
this is
I made it.
Get out of here.
I made it not focus, but that's only to I only did not focus. Well, let me know when you're ready for me to take that not focus out so that we could actually test things.
You can do that. I'm working on the collapsed state, so I can just toggle mine to just UI calendar.
Okay. Well, I will go ahead and get rid of it. Let's see what happens. Oops. Okay. Yes.
Let's celebrate that little victory real quick. Okay. I think it needs to be a much higher stagger. But that is a great little effect. It's amazing how how much staggering improves in animation.
Yeah, just like and in React, you could just use CSS variables for that. I see people trying to do stagger with just I don't know, just inlining the styles and everything like that. But honestly, there's you could get much more creative with your staggers if you use CSS variables. I should write an article on that. We should write articles.
Oh, yeah, I've got one about 75% written. I am terrible about follow through. You're aware of my library that I need to get out there. That
yes, you do.
Is designed exactly for that situation.
Right. All right. Why? Can labels be focused? Is that a stupid question?
Can labels be focused?
Yeah.
I don't think so, because when you click a label, it's going to focus on the input.
Oh, you're right. You are
so
correct.
You would need your focus and or checked state on the var.
Yeah. You're right.
Sean shared your talk on CSS var staggering in the chat there.
Oh yeah.
Saying that was the reason he thought of us.
Well, great.
Let's see. It's up here. Focus. So in the chat, have you guys actually used CSS vars much? Is it still kind of a just theoretical thing for you?
No, I use it all the time.
I do as well.
All the time. And in fact, if you're still thinking about CSS vars or vars, whatever you call it, as like just this experimental thing, then I invite you right now, or actually maybe not right now, maybe tomorrow when Shaw uploads the video on YouTube, go to YouTube, click, open your DevTools, and just play around, inspect, and you're going to find, wow, YouTube uses a lot of CSS variables. Like, you would be extremely surprised. And then you'll realize like how useful that is. And if you do theming in React, honestly, people have invented like 365 different ways to do theming with JavaScript, using context, using subscriptions, using God knows what, like higher order components or render components or whatever. Honestly, it's the silliest thing. Use CSS variables. That's what they're for. Like the perfect use cases for theming, and it makes things extremely easy. Plus, because it's in CSS, you are bypassing the whole React needing to re-render and reconcile and update state and cause like re-renders everywhere. You're avoiding that whole mess just by changing the theme. And yeah, so that's why I encourage you. But for animation, it's also extremely useful too, especially if you're animating staggers. Like they make a really cheap stagger animation where you don't have to pull in a third-party library. I'm sure there's a few other uses for them. Oh, you could, of course, use them to implement flip animations. And that's something that I've been doing in the flipping library, where right now the main implementation is the Web Animations API, but I'm also using CSS Variables to do a CSS variable way. And the reason is because the Web Animations API is not as widely supported as CSS Variables right now. Especially there's no support in Edge, unfortunately. And I work at Microsoft, so I could go yell at those people and be like, where's the Web Animations API? It has partial support in Safari. The best support's going to be Firefox and Chrome, but even those two browsers have differences. And that's why CSS Variables is likely going to be like my default, what I'm going to use for flipping.
Toggle that back and forth, David.
Toggle up back and forth. Oh, cool. Yes.
So one thing we talked about in the original animation, the icon in the top is just kind of this 2x2 grid, which doesn't really represent a calendar very well. So we were thinking about trying to do the full calendar kind of layout. For that. So I'm still playing with the sizing here, but I think we're almost there.
Yeah, we're definitely almost there.
Right.
I'm very excited for this.
It's kind of nice having transform or transition on everything while we're working, because you get to see in real time. Hey Curry, thank you for following. You get to see in real time what's actually happening.
Yep, it's pretty nice. Oh man! All right, so duration. I have all of these animations at 1 second, so which is fine. It feels nice, right? Okay, cool. We're just going to do 1 second. And the problem is that because of the stagger animations, those days, they sort of fade out too slowly. So that's what I'm working on fixing right now. And so basically the logic is when we are not focused or anything, we just want to really cut down their transition, their duration, like make it really, really, really quick. And so that's what I'm going to do now. Let's see. Transition duration divided by like 4. Just like really, really quick. Which that works. So. And actually, I'm going to try something really, really cool right now. I'm going to do it, and then I'm going to talk. Actually, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. Right now, the stagger goes from 1 through 30. So the first day is going to appear first, and the 30th day is going to appear last. However, what I want to happen is when it collapses, and I think this is in the original animation too, is that I want it to go the other way around. So I want the 30th day. You see what I mean?
To reverse it?
Yeah, basically to reverse it. And so,
I'm with you.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Totally going to do that. And there's nothing you can do about it.
Okay.
Because you can't find it.
I know what city you live in.
You do, but Orlando is a big city. Well, it's relatively big. It's very spread out. It's not, huge in terms of population. It's sort of like Houston, except Houston actually has lots of people in there.
Right, and is very spread out.
Right.
Okay, let me see.
Okay, let's see if this works. So when it's focused, it's going to go the normal way. Whoa. Focused, normal. Oops. Oh, delay. Oops. Okay. So when an input is checked, .ui, oops, day before. When an input is checked, that's when I want it to go the other way. Oops, no, 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 no. Did you break something?
Probably. I have not broken anything currently, so.
Oh. Would you like to break something?
Nah, I'm good.
Sure.
I probably will. Just give me a minute.
Okay, cool. That's what we're here for, breaking stuff. That's really weird.
Okay, dead air. So favorite Blink-182 song, go.
My favorite one?
Yeah.
Oh man, it's been a while since I listened to them. All the small things.
It's been a while as Creed, I think.
Good checked. Okay. Good.
Hey, Erikiva, thank you for following.
Okay, my selectors are getting a bit crazy, but that's okay. There we go. Cool. UI day. I just had to change the transition duration to be quicker, I guess. Because it still does the whole overlappy thing. So let's do duration divided by 5, I guess.
That. Duration divided by 5.
Well, all right, so looking at the original animation, oh man, okay, so the original animation, the days take a little bit of a delay before, man, okay, 100 milliseconds plus. All right, adding 100 milliseconds to the whole days coming in, which it's not working. Maybe I had to do like an entire second. That's too long. 500 milliseconds. Now, are you a millisecond or are you a like 0.5 second type of person?
I'll typically do seconds, just because when you get, I don't often get past a second, but in terms of like, when you get past, 1 second, 2 seconds, it just kind of gets a little ridiculous with milliseconds.
Yeah.
So point is definitely a lot easier.
All right, well, I think I have the staggering to where I want it, so I'm happy about that. Okay. If you play around with it, you're going to see that.
Yes. Hey, you are currently inducing a scroll bar. I believe it's from the November title that slides over.
Am I?
Yes.
Oh, I am, and that's because I'm doing it full width. All right, so in order to remedy that, Should I remedy that? I probably should. I should probably just give that a 50% width or something.
Or display
like
inline block.
Does that work? Pretty sure.
Nope.
Did you display inline block it? Well, doesn't position absolute force it to be display block anyway? I think it does. All right, let's do it with 50. Let's see what happens there.
Position absolute does not force that. Change this colors.
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna just do. Where's the scroll bar happening? Is it happening on the body?
I assume so.
Okay, I'm just gonna do overflow hidden there because I actually sort of need that heading to be with 100%, and that's because yeah, I have my reasons. Actually, no, the reasons are so that it's perfectly centered. And this is another animation technique that I believe we've done in one of the episodes, but I know I've done in at least one of my code pens, is smoothly transitioning text from text align left to text align center. And I wish I could make a mini tutorial out of that, but that's an interesting technique where basically you have nested elements and you're using transforms to sort of fake that text align center. And so you're just doing like translate -50% to do that, but on the parent you do translate 50%, so it sort of cancels out and makes it all centered. Doc Jekyll, Team MS indeed.
What?
And so by the way, I put that reset button just because, but we don't necessarily need it. Right?
Sure.
But we'll just keep it there for debugging. Yeah.
Okay. So I've got my icon with a few magic numbers and some very sloppy transforms, but hey, this is proof of concept. This is not production code. So let's see. How are you handling your staggers? Where are you handling? Transition delay, yeah. All right, just gonna copy that.
Copy away.
You are an MS guy, aren't you?
Yeah, sorry. I like being exact. I don't know. I don't really trust JavaScript with decimals, you know? It's, you know, I've been burned too many times. I've had my heart broken so many times by decimals in JavaScript. I just can't anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I just avoid it now.
Okay, got some.
But if you want to, I won't judge you. It's
Wait,
okay.
so I don't even understand what you're. Oh, that's your total there.
Yeah.
Okay. Need that just yet. Need that business. But I do need 3 plus that times.
Actually, I think the reset button is good.
Yeah, it's necessary, but it could be hidden if we wanted to.
Wow, I'm really liking those lines. They just need to be a little bit snappier.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't done any full tweaks to it. Just getting the stagger in there.
All right, 49.05, 49.05. It bothers me that this text is not perfectly aligned. Like it's off by 1 pixel, and it's the worst thing in the world right now.
What's off by 1 pixel?
All right, like the day, like November 2018, and when you put a day there, They're off by one damn pixel.
Well, just add a transform translate 1 pixel. Come on, David. Hey, I'm doing magic numbers all over the place here.
Fine. So. You know what? Fine. I will do that. I won't be happy. I'll do that. Oh, hey, it worked. Okay, cool.
Of course it worked.
Oh man, I feel so dirty. I'm gonna take another shower after this.
Yeah, don't look at my code if you're concerned about that. Plus day width times.
Man, this is so cool right now. This is super, super cool. And I can't believe that we're doing this just in CSS.
That's right, magic numbers.
All right, now we still need to get those arrows, which actually, those shouldn't be bad. Those should like just before and after elements, right? Nothing crazy. Okay, that's what I'm gonna do. Because, yeah, and the arrows, they sort of do this fun thing where they shoot out from the center. So we're gonna be doing those. Or I'm gonna be doing those.
Minus. It would be great if I knew math so that I could.
Math is hard.
Correct. Times negative 0.5. No. Oh, math.
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 Solid gray. Okay, here's my silly, oh. That's cool. I have my borders. Perfect. Border,
sure,
top, right, none. Border, right, none. Border, bottom, none. 4. Yes. Oh, this is going to be great. Transform, rotate, and after transform, so right now I'm just creating those little caret arrows. Rotate 45 degrees. Oops, not 45 degrees, like 135 degrees. Something silly like that. Yep, there we go. And this one's going to be right 0. This one's going to be left 0. And so the top one is actually going to be units. And so let's see if those are perfectly centered, which they are, which is awesome. Happy about that. Not happy with where they are, but that's okay. All right, so left, because whoa, it's not what we want.
You are making my code jump around all over the place.
Sorry about that.
That's cool. Okay, so I need to work with my transition delays.
For everyone still watching, thank you for sticking with us this long. There are so many little animations in here. We just want to get every single one of those. Like,
yeah, we actually have a good size crowd with us.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, give us a shout out if you're part of the React crowd, or like if it's your first time. Sean, SWYX86 says working transition all is really great.
It is.
Yeah, there could be some performance implications, none that I've seen, which is why I stick to just, transitioning, what I need, such as transform, opacity, maybe color sometimes. But you know, if you're quickly prototyping, then transition all is going to be all you really need, and it works out pretty great.
Yeah. Sorry if the connection just dipped a little bit. Working on that. Okay. So let's see. I think that's pretty good for this. So we can do that. And then, oh, nope.
So what have you got going on right now?
Just working on the stagger.
I gotcha. Cool.
Yeah, it needs to be inverted on the way back in, I think. So I gotta remember my math on that. Doc Jekyll says, I always get nervous about cross-browser implications of something like transition transform. What are you concerned about there? If a browser doesn't support transform, then the transition's not going to do anything. And some browsers that do support transform, I think don't support transition, like IE9, I want to say is in there. But yeah, there's prefixed transition. Yeah, that's where something like auto prefixer or what's hip these days?
I don't know, but in this, yeah, something like that. But in this day and age, honestly, you don't really, you know, putting my mouth where my money is, or putting money where, however the thing goes. But you don't really need an auto prefixer, to be honest. Not really too necessary. And the reason why is because most of these, or sorry, all of these modern browsers have pretty much gone prefix free.
That's true. And if they haven't, then do you really need to be supporting them for a full experience?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What we want. Oh.
All right, so yeah, right now I'm just doing those really cool carrots animations, C-A-R-E-T. Because those look like fun to me right now, so that's what I'm gonna do.
And Doc Jekyll, you said had to implement that logic in JS a few times. It's kind of a pain.
Which logic?
Doing the vendor prefixes.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, there are a few shortcuts kind of around that. But if you use something like view and bind to style, view handles those things automatically for you, which is kind of nice. Also, jQuery.
jQuery too. Yes. But let's avoid jQuery. It's a good thing to avoid.
It's good for what it does.
Yes.
Yeah, something like transition end event is definitely troublesome in that case. Can you do an initial delay on the numbers?
What do you mean?
They need to come in a little slower. Or, yeah, like they don't need to start appearing right away.
Right. Yeah, I think I already do have an initial delay on those numbers.
Really?
Yes.
They feel super fast.
Well, they're fast, but there's also a delay on them. Okay, yeah, I could probably change the duration. That's what we might want to change instead. Okay, I broke something. Okay. But that's weird. The November thing is showing permanently. Is that my fault or?
I'm not seeing that. I'm currently breaking things.
Okay, great. We were so close. Okay, you're right. No, it's fine. It's cool. It's cool. So what are you working on right now?
Cleaning up a little bit to be able to make the lines a little snappier.
Perfect.
As requested.
Okay, so limit days focus. Man, I keep losing where the where the different states are. In our previous pens, our previous episodes, we had these explicit data states things, and those were pretty nice. Yeah. For this one, we're juggling around input check and focus in order to do that. And that's because we, or whatever, actually it's my fault. We decided to do, CSS only.
Yeah, well, I think it's worthwhile.
Yeah. For sure. These need to disappear. There's an input checked. Okay, what did I call this? Did I give it the wrong class name? Let's see. Oh my god. I did. Oh man, I was wondering why things weren't working. I was referencing class month day, but it's actually month year. Oh jeez. I'm a dummy.
Nah.
Okay, now it works. Oh wow. Beautiful. All right. Now we're getting somewhere.
Let's see.
So if an input is checked, then we just want to fade out.
An ant on my keyboard. Get out of here, buddy.
Ooh, better than a cat on your keyboard.
Well. Yeah, I'm breaking things.
Okay, and not focus. Yeah, these are some tricky animations here. I mean, huge props to whoever created this animation because it's really, really creative.
Charles Benet.
Charles Benet.
Dribble.
Really fun stuff. And we definitely enjoy making animations like this.
Let me see.
I've never gotten anyone angry at me for like, hey, why are you using my animation? Never really happened. Hey, what happened to the reset button?
I'm working on that.
I can't reset anything.
It's there. It's just hidden.
Perfect.
I'm trying to get it to only appear when an input is checked. Oh, but I guess is there a null one that reset is triggering?
Wait, what now?
How is your reset working?
What do you mean? It just resets the inputs, so nothing is. It's just a normal reset. That's what you're asking.
Okay, button type equals reset for resetting the. Okay, I get you. I thought you were moving input checked to something that wasn't in that same radio group, to something that wasn't a day selector to get it. Input checked. Ah, there we go. Okay. Now, reset should only appear when you have something to reset.
Cool. Okay, almost done with this carrots animation thing. It's gonna be bomb. So scale, basically we want to make, with these, we're scaling the X by 2 and the Y by 0. It's weird, it sort of looks like bullets shooting out. Yes, it works. Oh, I'm so happy right now. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Now just tweaking the animation values. Yeah, so basically I'm just using 3 different transform properties. I'm doing scale, transform, and scale, transform, and rotate. And the rotate is in order to get them to the correct value. And those always stay the same. -45 for the left caret, 135 degrees for the right caret. So see how that looks. Yeah, I think that's working.
Let me get back to it.
It's a bit slow, but that's okay.
That's cool.
So for before and after transition duration, I'm just going to make the transitions a little snappier. And that's why it's good to either have a CSS variable or a SAS variable, because in order for the durations to remain harmonic, you could just straight up divide by 2 or multiply by 2, and you're going to get a nice snappy animation. But in this case, it's a little bit too much. So I'm going to do like 2/3 the animation. I'm going to make them spread out a little further apart. Let's see, where do I want to do that? Times. Four, 5, 6. Perfect.
Is there a way to see how long the GIF is in GIF Scrubber? Wish it had that.
What are you looking at?
Nothing. Just conjecture.
It's funny. Now everyone's going to think like, oh, this is totally possible. Or they're going to think, oh, you have to have 2 experienced animation developers working on it at the exact same time. Otherwise, it's impossible.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Okay, so focus is when you are not.
Why is that highlighted?
So that's how the original animation works, but I want to make it so UI day has to be done a little bit differently.
I made a rookie mistake. Well, a very tiny mistake. I was wondering why my transition delay didn't work, and I put 0. Now, something changed with browsers and CSS a while ago where 0 used to work for things like delay and duration, but now you have to use time units. You have to use 0 seconds or 0 milliseconds. It's one of those weird things. It's a bit of CSS trivia that will, if you know it, it will save you hours of frustration.
That broke many a site that I built.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Let's see.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would say that we're almost done with this. So I'm just going to put a few tweaks.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about it. Just doing a few.
And I can't believe it worked. I'm going to do a little shadow on the background because there's one. See, I could just do a drop shadow, or box shadow rather. Box shadow 0. RGBA flag 0.1. SAS and less for actually has a lot of really good color functions that I really wish made its way into actual CSS.
Yeah.
So maybe one day. They're definitely thinking about doing that. So that'd be really, really cool.
Okay. That is feeling rather nice to me.
Yeah, well, let's just get the colors right.
What colors are we missing?
The line colors, they're gray.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to bother me to no end.
Just a moment. And do we need to add the month or the days?
The days at the bottom?
At the bottom?
I don't think it's necessary.
Okay.
To be quite honest.
Let me color slurp. They're going.
Yeah, that looks nice. Okay, so let's see. The label UI day translates. Wow, we have a lot of CSS in here.
Yeah, it's definitely not our cleanest pen, but hey, that's not what we pride ourselves on.
Would it mess up your math if we made those lines like like 2 pixels wide instead of? Are you sure?
Yes.
Here, let's make this a darker gray.
Well, yeah. It's darker initially, and then when open, they are a little bit lighter. So we might need to add transition border color in there. Or I could probably just do opacity and make things easy. That might look sloppy. when they're all overlapping. Transform.
Yeah, and you said you have those in the container sorts?
I moved the container, or removed the container, I mean.
Oh, okay. So those lines are just in the wild.
Well, they are inside of one UI grid container, but that is all.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. That is fine.
Let's see. Where's the BG transition?
The BG transition.
Or just the BG element?
So the BG elements, right now I'm on line like 344. Just to give you an idea of how much we've done.
Yeah.
I know.
So yeah, with that, I would say we need to make it a little bit faster. Transition duration. That'd be cache duration times. Now, do you pronounce it $sign or cache?
I don't know. Boom. Perfect. Okay, well that's obviously wrong. So I'm gonna put this after.
Hey. Get out of here. Hey.
Oh God, did I do that? I'm sorry.
It's cool. Nope, you're fine. You're fine.
Oh, the joys of collaborative coding. I was trying to do that material design inky type thing, but I'll just hold off. It's fine.
Yeah, you can proceed. It's fine now. BG transition to.
You sure? Okay, great. Boom, perfect. That's okay. Transform scale Y, and we're going to be doing height over width. So that should give us the right thing, unless it doesn't. Try and do some weird math here.
What I always do with that is I'll get the dot, just sized about. Yeah, all you need to do is just scale it down instead of scale Y.
Well, right now I'm just trying to get it to be a perfect circle.
Yeah.
And that's not working. So here, let's count that. All right. So what error is it giving me? Well, no. All right. So right now the background element is squished.
Oh.
And the reason I want to do that is so that I could do an overflow hidden. But yeah, see, I want to do that overflow hidden, but I want this to be a perfect circle. So
yeah, I got you.
Height, is that it's gonna yell at me for whatever damn reason. All right, let's see. We have because height doesn't exist. Height doesn't exist. That's why it's height expanded, because there's two heights. So this will work. Well, I don't know what you did.
And then we just need the scale Y.
Well, actually, we don't need the scale anymore if I do that, because it's going to. Okay, all right. So height expanded over width. That's going to multiply. Actually, hold on. Just kidding. Width, and then that height expanded over width. Well, that's the wrong way.
Width divided by height expanded.
Well, then that might give us a different result. Close. Scale Y. Okay, because right now it's here. Let's have it be the height expanded. Well, no, that's not going to make any sense. I want it to be the width. But right now the width is not as wide as it should be. All right, so basically what I'm trying to get is like if I do 5 here, it's going to be closer to a circle, which is what I want. But I want that 5 to come from like, I guess the expanded height.
Don't we need that divided by width? Something like that?
Like where?
Just right below.
Probably. Well,
something's broken.
Height collapsed, divide by height expanded, divide by width.
What's broken? Why doesn't it like that?
I don't know. Let's add parentheses. That always fixes the problem. So then we do this, and it's still yelling at us. All right, height expanded, divide by height expanded. Yeah, so that's definitely not going to work. You know what? We'll eyeball it. 5 looks like a decent number, so we're going to go with 5. Whoa. Yeah, so basically what I want to happen is when we click it to expand, it's going to scale up real quick, and then so after a delay it's going to show the stuff. Actually, you know what, for the sake of time we'll leave it out. Yeah, because that's a
whole nother UI interaction to handle.
Yeah. All right, cool. So let's wrap this up. I think we got it.
Okay. Well, let me queue up here.
Wait, let's do the terrible accessibility practice thing and get rid of the focus outlines.
Gasp.
What was it again?
Did that work?
No.
It should just be outline none.
Oh, okay. I thought that there was some weird. Oh yeah, outline none works. Cool. All right.
Okay.
So
hold on. let me queue up here. And now it is time for Keyflections, the part of the show where we go back over everything we've done to just kind of break it down for you, help make it a little easier to digest than the whole 2-hour episode. So if you have any questions now, go ahead and ask us in the chat. We'll be happy to answer.
Yeah, and hey, if you enjoyed watching us so far, which you definitely have, hopefully, you can follow and subscribe here on Twitch or YouTube or pledge at patreon.com/keyframers, and you will get a special shout out. We will even sing sometimes. I'm sure that Shaw is a great singer, so he will sing for you.
Yeah, we got some Blink-182 queued up and ready to go.
Yeah. Hopefully we don't get any copyright violations. Violations. Okay, yeah, I'll take your word for it.
My lack of pitch would not trigger any algorithms, so that'd be good. All right, so going back to the beginning, we're working on Calendar Motion by Charles Bonnet, which was tweeted around today by Yanni. Is that right, Yanni? And then Sean,
Yanni, yes.
Sean passed that along to us. Thank you so much for doing that. And oh, thank you for following.
Hey, thank you, Erikiva. Erikiva?
Yes, nice subscription as well. Thank you. So, with that, there's a lot of things happening. So, how do you want to start, David?
So let's start with basically the main concepts where we're doing like transition. Let's talk about the let's get into the meat of it. Let's talk about each of the
Retro.
days.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Another Twitch Prime subscription.
Awesome.
By the way, if you have Amazon Prime, you have Twitch Prime as well, and that means you can throw a subscription at a channel each month. So if you haven't done that for Keyframers this month and you've supported us in the past, you can do it again, or you can support us now through that. Woo. Okay, so where did you want to start? We've got a red outline here.
Yes, I'm trying to do the current day, but you know what? Let's forget about that.
Yeah. Leave that off for now because that's
Okay, so the main concept behind all these, and there's so many little things, it would take us like at least another half an hour to just go through them. But basically what we're doing is that we are using transform to position each element in their correct spot. And yeah, so when we do that, we're taking advantage of CSS's transition property in order to smoothly animate those depending on which state that we're in. And so we could be in three possible states. The first state is where we're not focused into the calendar. And so it's just going to say pick your date. And then when you click pick your date, it's going to transition to the calendar view. And so this calendar view, the pick your dates, that text fades out and the November text fades in. And so that's just another transform. And of course, transition is going to pick that up and it's going to smoothly transition into the correct spot. Also, we have a stagger on each of the days. And so that's done using CSS variables. So the CSS variables are defined in the inline styles. And honestly, I think, that's what inline styles are for, CSS variables, nothing else, And we're using each of those CSS variables to set a transition delay. And so day 1 is going to come first, day 30 is going to come last, but because we're using CSS variables, we could tell the transition delay to go the other way and make like day 30 come first and day 1 come last, just using some very simple math. We're doing 30 minus that CSS variable. And so that's the power of CSS variables. And so yeah, that's what creates the stagger effects.
Yes.
And want to talk about the lines? Lines are pretty crazy. They're super cool, though.
Yeah, along the same lines, using position absolute
nice pun.
to get things lined up in the right place. So I've got my UI grid here with the number of columns and rows set as a CSS variable, and then individual divs for each line and row. To simplify things just a little bit and to make it feel a little more calendary, we kept the number of grid lines the same as opposed to the original, which has that kind of 2x2 grid. So going back into the
yeah, and just a quick note, we could have done that 2x2 grid. It would have just taken a little bit more math, but that would have taken too long, honestly.
Yeah, for not much of a benefit there, right, in my opinion. So the UI grid is position absolute within the calendar container, but with a margin of the day width. So that's how you get that nice even border around it. And then the UI columns and the UI rows are all position absolute within there. And given their transform origin in the top right to help them align back up to the start. Hey, Spartacus, thank you for subscribing. Appreciate that. UI row is are going to be the ladder lines. Those go from left to right with a border top. UI column goes from top to bottom with border left. And then here's where we get into some fun math. Let's go into the open state first. So the open state here, we have UI row. They are translated left 0, translated Y by the row variable -1 times the width of the day boxes. So row 1 is at the 0 position, row 2, and so on. And then UI column, the same, but for the X axis. And then to get the nice little concise area, we're actually moving the row lines over just a little bit. Day width times this icon scale variable I added in there to help it kind of fit in the right place. And then they're moving up just slightly so that it's all centered within this area. That's just some funky math to get it aligned right. Don't worry about that. And then still using that row variable to get it to space out evenly. And then a nice scale X with some magic numbers to get it to actually, appear the right width. Now, a similar kind of thing happening for UI column. Again, this is just kind of crazy math with some magic numbers. Ideally, you would have a more logical solution to that. If you did use something like, display flex, you could probably get that down a little easier. If you were scaling the entire grid as one unit, that would be super simple to do. So you could accomplish a very similar effect just by scaling the entire container rather than trying to do the line staggering all by themselves.
Yes.
All right. Do you want to talk about your arrows?
Oh yeah, so those were pretty fun to do. The arrows, these are two pseudo elements, and there's 3 transforms happening on them. The first one is a translate. So we're translating the left arrow, way to the left, translating the right arrow way to the right. We're also doing a scale animation, so scale Y 0, and so that's going to squish them down so they look like little skinnier arrows, whatever you want to call them, and then they expand to the bigger arrows. And then we're rotating them to the correct position so that we have these homegrown carrots. And the reason we're doing that is because I didn't add an icon font. I don't know. We like doing things with pure CSS, so I guess that's what we did. And yeah, there's just a whole bunch of transition delays and everything that's happening as well to make sure that the left arrow goes before the right arrow and that they happen in sort of a staggered motion. So that's what's happening there.
Yes. Now, one thing I want to take a look at before we sign off here. The day, I want to get a little bit more of a stagger on those. Let's see, we've got 10 milliseconds. 30, how's that? Is it my... Okay, yeah, I think my duration, oops. I think I was messing.
And actually, one thing that I realized that we probably should have done is everything that's not the the header or the buttons. Well, are the buttons in the header? Maybe they're not. That's okay. Basically, all the days, all of that should be. Oh, are they? All the days should be in a container. And that's so that we could manage the whole, oh wait, I guess, oh wait, they're not. False alarm. The reason why is because you could click under the calendar and it's going to activate some stuff. So that's just the CSS-only nature of it. And I tried remedying that with an after, but that's not really working. So yeah, a few more tweaks needed to be made here, but for the most part, it works. And these tweaks are just because we're doing it in plain CSS. And so obviously JavaScript's going to help a lot when you're doing this, but we want a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah, and it's helpful to see these different techniques with just using pure CSS, because that can help you when you are approaching it with your framework or your JavaScript animation library to know what you may or may not need to actually you know, have being updated with the JavaScript when you could just add a class with your JavaScript to toggle those
so
things back
Sean asks, can you talk about how you decide to do the order of the states? And so I guess in this case, there's 3 states. The first state is, of course, pick your date. And so that's the, what I call the unfocused state. The second state is when you're showing the actual dates and no date is selected. And the third state is when you're showing the actual date. Now, it is common thinking where it's like if you're dealing with a complex number of states that all need to be toggled, you're going to reach for a framework. And I highly suggest do not do that. Now, I'm not saying you don't need a framework, but think outside the framework. Instead, think like we have 3 states. And in this case, because we're doing it in just CSS, we're representing those states using focus, inputs checked, and just a combination of those 2. Thank you, Tall, Doc, and Handsome for subscribing. Love the username.
Yes, that's actually my buddy. I gave him that handle, so you can thank me, world, for introducing that.
Yeah. But anyway, no, honestly, I love the frameworkless approach, not because I don't like using frameworks, but because it makes things a lot easier to apply to any, sort of framework. Like, I don't want to teach how to do things the React way or the Angular way or the Vue way or the Backbone way. There is no Backbone way. It's just a mess right now. I just want to, I just want both of us to just show how to do it using just plain CSS and JavaScript so that you could apply those principles using whichever framework you choose.
Right. And Nate asked in the chat, does the show mainly focus on CSS, or do you get into other parts of web development / design, or do you get into cats? All of these things we cover.
I don't get into cats. I'm allergic. So
I think we choose to focus on CSS a lot, mainly because it gets kind of a bad rap overall. And by showing how you can actually do these things with just CSS, it can kind of open up the floodgates a little bit to have you take a step back and not just jump straight into using GSAP or trying to build some complex thing in your framework when maybe all you need is a focus state. There's so much that CSS can do. That's really well supported across browsers, or can be used in a progressively enhansive way, if that's the proper way to say that.
Enhansive. I think it just invented a new word, but
yes,
I like it.
So yeah, we do tend to often focus on the CSS aspect of it because, hey, that's mainly what is going to drive what you're seeing on the page. Everything else just has a little bit of a support, or has more of a hidden functionality, unless you're using JavaScript animation kind of stuff.
Hey, welcome to Twitch, Erikiva. Yeah. Erikiva. How do you pronounce your name? I don't know. I'm not going to even try.
Awesome.
All right. Yeah. So.
Yeah. If you have any other questions, go ahead and ask. But I think we're bringing it to a close here, David. What do you think?
Sounds good.
Admire this beautiful animation one more time.
Yeah.
I tweaked the number stagger a little bit, and that just feels
yeah,
so nice.
I thought it was a little fast at first.
Yeah. Hey, Tall and Ansem asks, what kind of beard oil do you use, David?
I don't use beard. I can't do. Like, I like getting through airports quickly, okay? And so that's sort of in opposition to that goal. So.
yeah. With the whole like 3.5 ounce container limit, you mean?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually did get some beard oil for Father's Day, and it's quite nice. Definitely helps keep a nice healthy beard. Well, awesome. I think we'll bring this to a close.
Yeah.
Okay. One last question. I'll let you answer, David.
Sure.
And was curious what process you would take to make this a React component at a high level.
All right. So the way I would do it is, and I sort of been talking about this, is that don't think about it the React way. So when bringing this into JavaScript, you want to separate this out into states. And again, we have 3 different states here. Like if you want to click through them again, we have the pick your dates, we have all the dates are shown, and then we have when your date is selected. So in JavaScript, and this doesn't matter which framework you're using, you would model each of those states as, well, I've been talking about a finite state machine, but basically you want a single variable to tell you which state am I in. And that's going to determine what your view is. So I guess as far as some of the CSS only to JavaScript things would go, there would be a lot of loops that we would remove. So for example, instead of using all of those checkboxes to manage which state is selected, we would probably just toggle a class, right? Or set a CSS variable or something like that. I mean, there's pretty straightforward ways to get rid of all of that CSS. So we could do that. And then, yeah, when you're creating this in React or in Vue or Angular or anything, don't think about like, how do I do all of these animations? Because that is a Vue concern, not VUE. It's a Vue, like a UI concern. Instead, think about the business logic where number 1, you have 3 states. Number 2, you're selecting a state and that is being stored in a variable somewhere. So either Redux, or if you're using Vue, then you have those, your data, or I don't know whatever it is. In Angular, you have observables, things like that. And so once you have those basics down, then the animation comes afterwards. And the animation should not affect the business logic, and that's why state machines are so important. Yeah, Manifold says Vuex, which is like Redux, but for Vue. By the way, if you're wondering what this is, it's like a vacuum air filter type thing. That's what I'm playing around with.
Using it as a pop filter?
Yeah. Yep.
Awesome. Okay. Well, yeah, I think we'll wrap this up here. Thank you all so much for joining us. Appreciate y'all chiming in on the chat. And you've been watching Keyframers, the animated collaborative coding live stream, where we bring imaginative user interfaces to life. If you've enjoyed this episode and would like to see more from David and I, there are many ways you can support us. You can subscribe and participate in the live streams every Thursday, not normally on Mondays, here at twitch.tv/keyframers. You can like and subscribe at youtube.com/keyframers. That's where we'll have this replay after this is all done. And you can also tweet at us and spread the word at twitter.com/keyframers. And if you really like the show and want to be our animigos, you can pledge at patreon.com/keyframers. And that really helps us keep the show going.
Yeah, and we do accept submissions for future episodes like this one. Exactly. Someone reached out to us, said, yeah, like, we would love to see this done. And this goes to show you like how much we prepare for this stuff, which is not at all. Like, I was just like, dude, we got to do this today. We got to really try this. And we were sort of talking about like, oh, how are we going to do it? But we're just like, let's just wing it. Let's do it. And we did it. So yeah, it really does work. Tweet at Keyframers with any animations that you would like to see made. You can also present questions or challenges, and we'll try to answer them on the air like we've done today. We love chatting about this stuff.
That's right, and we've really appreciated you guys chiming in here and helping us out throughout the episode. It's been great. So until next time, which will be Thursday, just a couple days here, keep on animating.
Yeah, adios.